Hey, Dr. Dan Cooper here, and welcome back. I wanted to talk to you today about my 3 favorite hormetic stresses currently. So as a little precursor, if you don't recall what a hormetic stress is, so this is a stress placed on the organism, in this case, humans, that is such that it allows that organism to adapt to the stress. So they're typically moderate stresses, they're intermittent in their duration, as opposed to something that is a high level of intensity of stress, input for a longer period of time, that can have a damaging and deleterious effect on the organism. So the difference there is that this shorter term, less intense, so more moderate level of stress allows for that organism to adapt. So there's a period after the stress that allows that organism to recover and adapt to the stress placed upon it. And my current 3 favorites that come to mind as I'm sitting here talking to you, the first one's sunlight. And sunlight is a medicine in and of itself. Some of the things I like about sunlight as a hormetic stress, I like that it helps with some hormone production. We all know about vitamin D production with sunlight. That is, a great benefit. It also helps with testosterone production. So there's hormonal benefits to sunlight that I really appreciate from a hormetic standpoint. Another one, I like the way I look when I'm tan. So from a positive adaptation standpoint, in my perception, that is a positive adaptation as well. Another one is heavy lifting. There's certain things I really like about heavy lifting that are, obviously the muscular gains side of heavy lifting, the strength gains, the movements that I use for a lot of my lifts are more functional in nature than not, and so there's coordination involved. There's stability, whether it's static or dynamic stability. So a lot of factors go into improving my overall ability to, exist in this world, in this physical world, in a safe and strong manner. So I really like that, having a stronger physical ability. Plus, when I lift really heavy, there's another hormetic component here. The emotional stresses and mental stresses that are placed on me by myself when I'm choosing to do these workouts, they cause me to persevere and find ways to dig deeper to finish a lift or a set, or whatever the thing is that I'm doing physically. And that is an underrated positive piece of intense weightlifting, is that grit that you develop from an emotional and mental standpoint to get through the workout. And a third one for me, I would say perceived emergency. So whether that is me working to a deadline, or maybe even back to that example of heavy lifting where there's that perceived emergency when I'm about to fail on a lift. I don't want to go there though, because that's kind of cheating. To make a full third out of it, a third example out of it. But other perceived emergencies in my life, whether it's getting cut off in traffic or the deadline that I mentioned. And so when I have a perceived emergency, one of the things it does for me that I find very beneficial is it makes me focus. So, I have better and less good times of focus in my life. And so anytime that I can focus well, I really like it. And so the hormetic effect there is not just that I episodically can focus, which it does do that, but the neuroplastic effects of focusing more often. So the way that our neural patterns work from a neuroplastic standpoint is the more you access that neural pathway, the more it is easily accessed in the future. So by inducing that focus event more often and in different situations, it allows me to be more adaptable in my ability to focus in the future easier. Because the more you do it, the more that neural pathway gets laid down and strengthened, the more easy it is to access in the future. So I really like that as well. And those are my 3. And those 3 have to do with the current situations in my life. In other times in life, I've had different favorite hormetic stresses, and these are just my top 3. Most recently, before these top 3 really solidified in the last handful of months, I was really into cold plunges. There's some great benefits that go along with cold plunges from a regenerative standpoint. They're very beneficial for, one, focus again, but also growth hormone production. Saunas are another one. So that contrast of cold and hot, funny enough, they have very similar benefits physiologically. So those were some hot ones for me in the past. Maybe they'll come back in the future. Who knows? Depends on what scenarios in my life come about. If I were going to go with a runner-up, I would say, I guess it mixes the others though. I was going to say something like mountain biking, where it is an intense physical activity, so I'm getting those physicality benefits from it, but because of its perceived danger of that activity, it kind of combines all of mine. One is outside in the sunlight. There's perceived danger when you're doing trails that are more dangerous and you're going hard and bombing over stuff that could be dangerous, and it causes you to focus because of that danger. So that would be an activity that I guess should be it's probably not a fourth. It's a combination of all of my three. Anyway, I'm actually interested to see what you guys have for your favorite hormetic stresses in your lives right now. And if you don't have any that you know of that you're actually doing currently, given your goals and what you want out of life, what do you think some hormetic stress options are for you to introduce into your life to help you achieve the goals that you want to get out of your life? Thought experiment. Throw them in the comments and let me know what you got.